I'm check here. We're on, and hopefully the internet will work at the hotel this morning. Yesterday I started.
Cool.
I did my show at the relatively regular time. And hi everybody, welcome to the show. We're doing a pre-tape, so for till 8:05 our time. We're both Central Time right now. We'll just chit chat, and then I will lead us into so Chicago can lift this with proper timing as best we can. So 8:05 will like some grease through a 10-year-old goose, as they say. But I tried to do the show at my regular time yesterday, and the internet just went away at my hotel. And I think it's one of those things where it resets every day at like noon. So halfway through, it just went. Yeah, and I'm like, can you just cycle it back over just in case anybody's doing something important in the modern era? So welcome everybody. Good morning. Hi, Chris. What the? Hey, whoa. All right. What's up, Jen? Share the show out, by the way, guys. We're on it at a different time because I'm rockin' pod will always be rockin' pod to me. Good old rockin' pod, Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like Rockin' Pod and Rocky Top work very well. I don't know why they don't even do it in Rocky Top. I would do Rockin' Pod in Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rockin' Pod, Rocky Top, like that kind, and then have a contest to see how many people can say it fast. And then also, I also can't say Anna Paulina Luna's name without going, Anna Paulina Luna is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day. So, all right, now we're up on all of our sites. Let me check those. Now, we won't be on Substack, guys, and we won't be on, let's see. And let's see, restart that just to make sure we're up on the regulars. The other thing, too, is I have to restart. Yeah, there we go. And then I got to take us down on Rumble to make sure we're up on there. Yeah.
Hey, the market manipulation has worked.
Yeah?
I'm only down $12,000.
Only, yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. Again, I think this is a whoops. Do we do that? Okay, sorry. I think they're gonna make money on the steps down and the steps up. Like everybody around him knows this, and they've got automated stuff set up that whenever I send the trigger,
people are all over Marjorie Taylor Greene's trade
activity. Oh yeah, her 250K in T-bills 2 weeks before this nonsense went down. Yeah, not telling it all. And isn't she the one who introduced one of the anti-Nancy Pelosi, we shouldn't be able to trade at all things?
Yeah, if it involves hypocrisy, she was involved.
Oh, yeah, way on top of that, yeah. Next thing you'll know, she'll do Congress people are not allowed to cheat on their husbands with a sex guru from the health club that they own. Yeah. Hi, chat room. Okay, so let's start up in a couple of seconds. I'm going to just fly this in, so we'll assume that we're coming in right here.
The HalSparks radio program, Megaworldwide.
Good morning, everybody. It's HalSparks radio program, Megaworldwide, with my dear friend Johnny Million joining me.
Hi.
We are both in Central Time right now, and it's so sad to me that we're not sitting next to each other while we're in Central Time.
It's weird.
It is very weird.
Really?
Because I'm in Nashville for Rockin' Pod, and I will be, that's right, and I will be till tomorrow and doing punchlines and backlines in downtown Nashville on Music Row, which is apparently, when I've been coming down to Nashville for a long time, Johnny. We were talking about before we went on the air.
No.
My cousin Jerome. It's like a rolling stone. So he and I last night, I think, highlighted the trip so far. Besides getting to talk to Keith Roth, who's on Sirius XM, he's on Ozzy's Boneyard, and he does Hair Nation. Never met the guy.
Okay.
Knew him
Never
instantly.
heard of him.
knew him instantly from his voice.
Neat. That's
Like he's
pretty
one of the, yeah. He was terrific. He played last night. Been a session player for a long time and played in bands and all that kind of stuff.
guitarist.
We had a great conversation. Yeah, guitar player and singer, but like with a really like hashed out voice, like just perfect hashed out radio metal
Richie
voice.
Scarlett kind of voice.
Yeah, totally great. And a really sweet guy. He was cool. But the highlight of the trip so far was last night. I get to introduce Billy Sheehan, the bass player, extraordinaire, who, amongst his many credits, was David Lee Roth, post Van Halen's. He was his bass player in the Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan group that made Yankee Rose and all those songs. And my cousin Jerome, who's like a rolling stone, he and I spent an entire summer when I hung out down here with him one year, driving around listening to Skyscraper. It was the album of the summer. It was one of those situations.
Skyscraper, that's so awesome.
It's such a great record. And so we drove around listening to that. And so I got to introduce Billy Sheehan with a true story. Not since I got to tell my Dabney Coleman story to Dabney Coleman have I had such a good time introing someone.
Aww.
Which, do you remember the movie Modern Problems, Johnny Million? We'll get into the real news in a minute, but it's just, I love talking to you. So Modern Problems, if you haven't seen, is Chevy Chase movie, and Dabney Coleman is the heel in it. He's the bad guy in it. And at one point, my grandmother took me and Jerome to see it in the theater in Murray, Kentucky. She never took us to the movies. They would drop us off, but she took us. She went to the movies with us, and she's sitting there with us. And I think it was because it was PG-13. So one of the first PG-13 or something like that. And she had to be sitting there. And she's sitting there this whole time, and she's not getting the humor, and it's a bit much, and,
Does Modern Problems also have Goldie Hawn?
No. No, you're thinking of Seems Like Old Times, and...
Yeah, there were two with Goldie.
He had his girlfriend, Darcy. He was an air traffic controller. It kind of ties into this. Who developed psychic powers after nuclear waste has jumped on his car. It was
I remember that.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's one point where Dabney Coleman hits on his girlfriend by walking out into the room in a towel with his, coming out of the shower, and drops his towel. And so, big as life on the screen is Dabney Coleman's backside on the screen. And my grandmother, who was a librarian at Murray State University and one of the most quiet, dignified women that has ever dampened the God's green earth with her footprint, stood up in the theater and went, "Is that completely necessary?" And I was like, "He can't hear you." So, and I got to tell that story to Dabney Coleman Yes, he did. He laughed very hard at my distress. Jerome and I were scarred for life with that. That was
sure.
At the time.
We've got the chat producers are saying that my volume needs to go up.
Well, how about this? I think it's going to be better now. See, that was now I know that was a mistake. I'll bring myself down and then it'll even it out. So, all right, we're into the show. We got to start talking about the news here today, Johnny Million, because there is. I don't know if you know this, but apparently Donald Trump is not good at business. This is true.
No. I think we should follow his instincts on this.
Yes. TIT is the initials. Don't say it out loud. We're on the radio. Trust in Trump.
Pretty young thing?
No, that's PYT, which again, don't make me go off on another tangent about how creepy that song is. Genderless. Oh yeah.
God damn it.
No, yeah.
Sorry, Devin.
Don't get me started on Michael Jackson at this point. But we have, it will come as no surprise, by the way, that the biggest difference between Trump's incompetence this time and Trump's incompetence last time is, when he was inaugurated this time, he was older than when Biden was inaugurated last time. And not the healthiest guy. Now, we won't know officially how fake healthy he is until tomorrow, because I don't know. Do you know he went to Walter Reed yesterday for his
checkup?
His totally planned checkup that just happened? Yeah,
Hey.
that had. Yeah,
Oh, he's getting another scheduled checkup.
yeah. He went and saw Dr. Jellyfinger at I guess in person at yeah. Right.
River. You using the whole fist, Doc?
So he went to see Dr. Jellyfinger yesterday, and apparently he was in good spirits when he left, which means they gave him an IV. So my guess is this is just observationally before and after. Did you see the big round table that he brought all the cabinet members in to praise him like it was auditions to be a North Korean news commentator?
Did that again?
Yeah, this one was acutely about this, and during the whole thing he was slumped and seemed sort of disinterested in even the most vociferous praise that they were throwing his way. His energy was very low. He was staggery and he was handing off the meeting a lot. That's one of the reasons he went around the entire table. He was like calling it a meeting when it was really just a circle, and then he answered some questions, and then they had everybody leave. And he said something along the lines like, do you think Biden ever did this? Which he seems to be doing all the time now. Which, of course, we all know Biden did exactly that. Like every president does this. Every president has, especially when they have a new cabinet, they have the cabinet sit around and kind of talk priorities or take questions, and then they go. What he did more of this time, and I think what stood out, was that he had the cabinet members, all of them speak in a row, like around the table. Most of the time, you'll see a couple of key points from people, and then they'll answer a couple of press questions, or she'll answer a couple of press questions one day in the future. And the president will go, okay, now we're done. Then they'll have the real meeting, the cross-table talking and the departmental mixes like a board meeting.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He offloaded as much as he could. Anytime they referenced some random talking point he had from the campaign, he would blather about it for a couple of seconds and then pass it off to the next person in line like it was romper room. And by the time he got to the end, there were only a couple of things that had come from it. There were only a couple of things that stood out, I think, as details. One of them was about DOGE. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But over the course of it, he was getting increasingly bored, obviously, and then he was kind of slumping down. And my guess is he's driving himself to exhaustion. He didn't like the way the markets went, no matter what he tells anybody. It did cause him a heart palpitation or two, because while he may not care about the U.S. citizens, he damn sure cares about his investment portfolio. And what ultimately happened was he was either not sleeping like he normally doesn't when he's having these long panics, or he had some sort of chest pain or something along those lines, because people were asking about whether he had a chest x-ray, and it was weirdly, like, the press will sometimes get wind of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the down low. Like the White House will say, okay, nobody's allowed to say anything about this because it's not germane to anything, and we'll give you, press access later, but you keep your mouth shut about this. And they often do. The White House press corps, even in situations like where you're dealing with somebody like Trump, they will go, all right, I'm not going to let them know that he had trouble standing up or touched his chest or whatever, because it could have been anything, and you don't want to leak to the press that he had food poisoning or whatever. There's a myriad of protocols in place. And so it's very possible something happened and he went. And what they did was they put him on an IV and gave him a bunch of B vitamins, as I've seen them do with many an actor over the years who has driven themselves to exhaustion with either work or substances or both. And that's why he felt...
It's pretty much an intravenous Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was like, went to Walter Reed today afterwards, and things, I think it went really good. And he had more kind of like oddly perky energy after that. And I think a lot of people are concerned that he's seeing Dr. Feelgood again. And they've got to keep him, it reeks of like the end of the Elvis movie, the Baz Luhrmann movie, where like, you get that boy on that stage, mixed with his own sundowning and the like. And Wall Street is not missing it. We got to take a break. When we come back, Wall Street has noticed that Trump ain't all there, ladies and gentlemen. They are starting to figure it out. that he's a bit of a mess there, and they don't think it's going to turn around anytime soon. So we'll be back right after this. I'm in Nashville. Woo!
Turn up the radio, let the sparks ignite. How sparks lead the charge day and night. No oasis for truth
That works.
in a world gone
Thank you.
wild, wild. It's the HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Beat you to it.
Inside,
There you go.
through the noise.
All right, so that took us to break. There we go. Like real professionals. I'm so proud of us.
Right on.
Yeah, they nailed it. Stuck the landing. For those of you that are just joining us, we're pre-taping this morning because I did not know until late last night that I have been, I have been volunteered to do 8 hours worth of podcasts today from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. tonight. Fan meet and greets, and yeah. And I know a bunch of you are like, wait, Hal, are you sure you can talk that long? Yeah.
My mother-in-law knows you can.
What?
No, it's so funny. Every time she's like, well, how was the Hal show today? I'm like, oh, it went really well. She said, I listened to him not long ago, and he can just go and go and go.
Oh, thank you. That's the different show that she's watching. That's the.
And what's great is when people ask me, was he always like that? Yeah, he's pretty much always been like this.
Yeah. As I was young, it wasn't allowed to. All right, let's come back. We'll. I'm gonna throw in the theme song to come back. Oh yeah! I'm running. All right, hold on. Let's come back to the '70s jingle. That'll work.
The HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, that was hilarious. It is my that was my attempt using AI to make music, because I will not use it to make actual music, but jingles are like perfect for this. Like the chances of me being able to put together a KRP style choir of people, or find a 70s a cappella group to do those kind of stingers is impossible at our price point here at HS RPM, the show we do for free. Our price point is such that we cannot afford. It's true. I mean, how long has the show been on the air? But anyways, yeah, it's lovely. So, okay, lots of stuff to get to, but not the least of which, and the one standout was, of all the people just kind of going around the circle and blathering at Trump about like how things are just awesome, bro. I mean, bro. We are in the. A lot of people have been trying to kind of sum up, I think, what the status of this government is besides just chaos. And I would say that essentially it's just the trust me bro economy, the trust me bro governance, the trust me bro DOGE nonsense, right? All of these things that we're watching happen, their defense and their pushback, if you ever want any real details, are just like trust in Trump or trust me bro. This is where we are. So the issue with that, I guess, primarily is I don't, and I was never that was never even a question. Secondly, if you're the most transparent ever, no one should ever have to ask why you're doing something. If you're the most transparent ever, they shouldn't have to ask you why something happened or what happened, especially the what. But one of my favorite moments from the whole thing was the admission by Elon Musk that DOGE has been a bust. I don't know if you saw that, but he openly admitted that it has been a massive, unrelenting failure, completely worthless.
You said this out loud?
Yes, he did. Now, he didn't use those exact words. He said, I think the quote was, we're happy to report we found $150 billion worth of waste, fraud, and abuse, which is, if you don't know, the number. Ta-da! I'm okay. I'll be all right. It stung a little bit. I'm deaf in one ear. No,
No, that was him, not you.
no, I know that, but I feel like I was the recipient more than anything. Yeah. So one of the, that 150 billion number is not only old according to the DOGE website, it's also a lie. I've covered this multiple times on my live stream. We've gone through the DOGE site, doge.gov. Please feel free, anybody, especially any maggots we have in the chat room, feel free to dive right in and click on any of the links in there and see if you find some sort of mystery payment you've never heard of, and then follow the links that show that not only was it requisition funds for an actual thing that's been approved from a program in Congress, and that it's been known for a long time, and that they're just people in the government like you that don't like it. That's it. That's all it is. It's not that you found waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not that you found that. It's that you just Trump is just calling anything he doesn't like waste and abuse, and that leaves fraud. And the big question, the one that seems to, the big question that drives all of the maggots crazy, that they find it very difficult to answer, is why would it take anybody more than 25 years to figure out that Epstein is a pedophile? No, the big question is if there's all this fraud and there's so much of it, it's just everywhere. There's it's just, you find it every day. Billions of dollars in fraud. Why is no one being charged? Why are there's not even a
crime?
There are no referrals to the DOJ. They say that they've sent these things to the DOJ, but when you do that, you got to say so. You got to be specific to at least the program, because Congress has oversight. The courts are separate. This is going to, you have to notify somebody, and it's not a secret, right? So, needless to say, I do not believe the Trust Me Bro crowd. But what we do know for a fact is that top number of 150 billion that he's saying they got. Now remember, do you know what their target was initially when he was talking about it on the campaign trail was? That he was going to cut out, not the overall budget for a decade, which is how they plan it out most of the time. How much was he going to cut out of the deficit? There's $7 trillion, $7 trillion federal government spending per year. We have a $2 trillion deficit. That was the top end of it coming out of COVID, largely because of the rise in interest rates. But $7 trillion U.S. government expenditures in a year. How much of that were they going to remove? You remember what his initial one was?
No, I don't remember what the number was.
What's the deficit? 2 trillion? It was 2 trillion. They just basically, in the beginning, they were like, totally we could, it was so dismissive and stupid that they were like, we're going to get rid of $2 trillion. Who even needs it? Never mind the fact that the reason that we have that deficit is because we've just come through 3 nearly country-ending tragedies in a row, 9/11, 2008, and then COVID, and that the payments for those kind of things had to be put on a credit card effectively. And I'm not counting the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, that's a whole other thing. But the recovery efforts and the righting of the economy especially had to be put on effectively a payment plan, and those stacked over time. And of course the budget's going to go up, and if we either have a capable leadership, that if we have another moment like that, we have another situation that there's not an overreaction or an underreaction that causes us an expense like this again, we won't continue to add to the debt every time something semi-catastrophic or catastrophic happens in the world. So that said, that's why we have that deficit, especially because we're coming out of COVID. These guys want to pretend COVID never happened. These guys want to pretend that the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war didn't put $7 trillion on the national debt, and that Donald Trump didn't add the other third. And the biggest boondoggle in all of this is that Trump's spending, government spending under Donald Trump, is up from Biden.
Imagine that.
Even with this $150 billion that they're allegedly cutting, which they have not. Let's just start with that's a lie, flat out. They talk about programs that they eliminated that they just aren't going to go forward, after next year, which were meant to be sunsetted and were temporary anyways, or contracts that they cut. Okay, side story. So I'm here, and there's a lot of people. We're hanging out and talking, and I talked to somebody, and I'm going to distance myself from where this came from just to protect the person who I was talking to. But this person had a job at a government agency that has a major office here in Tennessee, and they were fired effectively by the DOGE cuts, and then they were rehired with back pay after a judge reinstated them. Then they were offered a retire early plan, even though they're young, like a end your contract early payment, basically a golden parachute to get out early, so that but then they rescinded that as well. They put it on a bait. They held it till like October, saying we'll give you this money if you leave early, but don't act on it until September or October, which means they're going to continue. They're going to continue the job. They're now realizing they need this person, and they're going to have to keep them on. Even if the person wanted to leave, they need them to fulfill this contract because they need the workers. They are going to be paid, and I want people to hear me. They are going to be paid for 10 months of work and never set foot in an office because of DOGE. They have been
good use of funds.
Exactly. Nothing says government efficiency like firing someone and then finding out you have to rehire them, paying them back pay, and then paying them until October, in which time you will realize you've already realized that you need them in there doing their job, but you can't either admit to that fact. You can't, like it's about ego at this point. Like the people who fired them can't admit that they're necessary employees. And it's everyone in their department. So there are huge swaths of federal workers that are getting effectively a 5, 6, 10 month paid vacation on the taxpayer, and they're not even allowed to do their work because some of them have yet to be sworn in. Because that process doesn't happen until you finish your training, and there's nobody there to give them their security training because Kash Patel runs the FBI and they've blown off all their work. There are people in the FBI that can do this. They're just not being assigned because the uppers at the FBI don't know what the perfunctory function of it is. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HalSparks radio program, Megaworldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. All right. I feel like I should go to...
You are watching HalSparks Megaworldwide, and we're glad you're along for the ride. Every day Hal is here by your side.
Yeah.
So please would you like and subscribe?
That's not too much to ask. All right, there we go.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you might even do it, accidentally. So, we'll come back in 2 minutes at 8:32.
Okay. And that's
Come back in.
Yeah.
We'll come back in 2 minutes time, and he can probably move around one of the other breaks if he needs to. But I think we should be all right.
How are we gonna know when to stop? Do we just keep talking forever?
Forever and ever.
Come and play with us, Danny.
Danny.
Forever and ever
Thanks.
and ever.
Is that when you switch, if you watch it in black and white, you're like, what happened to those girls? Did someone poop them to death? I watched a movie last night that I have not watched in a long time because I'm in a like this weird crossover hotel Airbnb kind of ish thing. It's like somewhere in between. And so they have a Roku and they have some apps on the TV, and one of them was like classic comedies, and I was like, okay, I need to go to sleep. I'm going to turn this on, and hopefully I will watch something old, and I'll just pass out like my mom does watching Turner Classic Movies. And I watched Harvey all the way through.
I love Harvey. That is one of my all-time favorite movies. I've got Harvey Tourette's.
Yeah?
Yeah, like when I hear things, like if I hear,
Well,
if you watch it all the way through, remember,
Yeah.
kick him, Judge, kick him. I can't not say that if I hear anything that sounds remotely like kick him.
Let me,
I'm like, kick him, Judge, kick him.
let me give you my card.
Yeah.
You know?
You can reach me at this number.
Well, sit right down. Yeah.
That's the old one there.
Yeah, it's so good, but it's kind of amazing as a it's almost like a sweet version of Donnie Darko, but
Yeah.
the puka, which is what he is actually a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I went to the dictionary when I was a kid to figure out what a puka was.
What a puka is, yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna come back from this. Hold on, in 3, 2, 1. We're back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Million joining me. Okay, how you doing, Johnny Million? Welcome back. So,
I am very pixelated on the. I know we're trying to save some
bandwidth.
But holy moly, I look like I'm streaming from 1998.
Yeah, I feel like you're a picture that you've texted me, and it's gonna, or emailed me, and as it starts to form, I'm gonna be very disappointed or grossed out.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
that's not a nipple.
Oh no! Oh no! A Norwal, I never would have guessed. So,
I have normal socks. See, I have Tourette's. I just blur things out, and I have normal socks, which are a challenge because they keep putting holes in my socks.
well, sure, yeah. So, because it's Trump on Air Force One, and he was talking about his annual physical, which has been scheduled for a long time, but all of a sudden popped onto the schedule yesterday. Right?
Yeah, sure.
One would think that if it's been on the schedule for a long time, maybe they could look it up. Maybe that schedule is a thing, because I'm not in this trust in Trump mood. I'm not I'm not buying the trust me bro stuff. I am not. And yeah,
Neither are the markets.
no, not at all. And so we'll get to more of that in a moment as well. By the way, if you're watching us, like, subscribe. Super chats always help. Patreon.com/HalSparks. And of course, Johnny Million has a live stream on Fridays. Are you still doing it, or did you burn that one down too?
I did, and actually, I couldn't do it yesterday, so I pre-recorded like this.
Oh wow!
And had it just, yeah.
So this is your fault. You set this in motion.
This is all my fault.
It's thank you, Julie. By the way, Jolie. Sorry, Jolie, for the super chat. Sorry, it's tiny text on my thing, but it's very big there. Excellent. There you go, Jolie. Thank you, and Tinker for that as well. The Trump, speaking to reporters on Air Force One, was asked about his cognitive assessment, which he always brags about doing, and says, "Do you think Biden could take one and Harris could take one?" And he nailed it, though. He wants you to know that he got it right away, and he remembered all of it. And
10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question?
right. So I'm sure you guys will recall his what was it? I think we have it here. He said,
They don't like the gas.
no, that wasn't it. When he said,
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
When he said person,
Person, woman, man, camera,
There.
TV.
Yeah.
Yosemites.
So when he said that, he there was a period where he just kept saying it over and over again. And we all had person, woman, man, camera, TV on the brain. Now, it is unclear from what he said, because they don't always give the president this test. It's not a test you give someone just as part of their normal physical. It's not part of the president's protocol normally. So it sounds like they think he needed one.
Yeah.
It sounds like all of a sudden we're back to, are you sure you're okay? After whatever happened.
Do you have the clip of we have to look at the oranges?
Oh, yes. I believe so. I think we have that. Do I have it?
Yeah, look.
No. Here we go.
Not that one.
Yeah, hold on.
Not the oranges.
The oranges, yeah.
I don't read, obviously.
I know I have it in here. It's going to drive me crazy, but we've got to do it. Yeah. Sorry. Wow. Sorry. He said at one point.
And we developed just some very good friendship.
All right, no. When he, oh God, why don't I have it in there? It's so terrible. Oh, it's got to be in here. Hold on.
I felt really good almost after taking it.
Sorry. That was after his meeting with Putin, I think, wasn't it?
Indiana Attorney General.
It was all of these things I want to remind everyone were not after a head injury.
Indiana Attorney what?
General.
Indiana Attorney General.
So, and
Free health care for illegal. Look.
yeah. Look. It's now it's going to drive me crazy because I know we have it someplace.
Him, Apple, and his wife, Carrot.
Oh yeah, well that was Mike Pence. Yeah.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President Mike Pence and his wonderful wife Carrot.
And he was younger then.
Michigan gave us Motang.
So, all right. Needless to say, I think the orange is on my soundboard at home. It's not on this one.
Okay.
Oh. But he said they asked him about. He brought up the cognitive test, but then he couldn't remember what it was called, and he said it's a pretty well-known test. Whatever it is, I got everyone right. That was the quote. Which, I mean, I feel better having someone like that in charge of the world economy. whatever that thing is. You know, the memory thing? I nailed it, whatever it's called. That's basically what he's saying. And he took the test because he wanted to be a little different than Biden. And he said, of his health overall, he said, I felt I was in very good shape, good heart, a good soul, very good soul. Now,
what?
I none of us have any idea. Johnny's gone looking for it. He's got on headphones. He's going to go digging for it. Yeah. A good heart, a good soul, very good soul. That sounds like a man dealing with his mortality. That sounds like a guy surrounded by the Paula Whites of the world, convinced that he's going to go to heaven because he dodged a bullet last year, and that he believes personally that he's doing like the color forms or the paint by number version of of Christian redemption before he.
It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Right. No, that's all right. I know the problem with looking up the Trump oranges clip is that he is so orange all the time that what will show up in your feed is a mess. Hold on. Let's see. I think it might be.
Today you and tomorrow you aren't the same person.
I don't need an ad.
If you're tired of what...
Well, mine's going to be choppy anyways. I tried. Mine was going to run an ad. I knew it. This whole thing.
While it may seem counterintuitive at first,
be quiet.
it's not.
It's driving me crazy. Why am I not able to click on that by itself? What is Trump saying? That's what it was. This is the
investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. You look at the origin of the investigation. The Mueller report, I wish, started the beginnings of the investigation. How
the oranges of the investigation.
You got it right that time. Hang on,
but it was choppy. Sorry.
And I hope that this investigation now, which is finished, it's totally finished. No collusion, no obstruction. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. You look at the origin of the investigation.
There, he reeled it in.
Oh, no, yeah, but barely. And then he said it again later. Oranges made a comeback after he got it right. If you'll recall, he said it. He corrected himself and then lost it. And again, hey. Sometimes, you see it, you're walking into a meeting, you see a dish of those little cuties around Christmas time, and you're like, will they be good, or will they taste like toilet paper and bounce like a tennis ball and have too many seeds? It's a gambler's fruit. I'm just telling you, Johnny Million. It's a gambler's fruit. I only know that from one of the verses that was removed from that Kenny Rogers song. So, sorry.
The cutie verse.
The cutie verse, yeah. This is, and again, 150 billion apparently is the number that we can expect from DOGE. And meanwhile, the House and the Senate have agreed on a blueprint to start talks for an eventual budget somewhere in June, blah, 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 that raises the debt ceiling $5 trillion. Now, yeah, doesn't just raise the debt ceiling to pay what is owed last year, raises it $5 trillion. Now, when I heard that, the original number from the House, before they got objections from the Freedom Caucasians and the sort of the folks in the MAGA world that ran on fiscal responsibility, what we heard from all of them was they were the ones that, like Chip Roy got into a fight with Donald Trump where Trump was going to primary him because he was against raising the debt ceiling at all, even to, again, pay for the stuff that had already been budgeted that was already in it, when it was, because it's going to be a new Congress and they should be able to pretend the last Congress didn't exist, and we should do that in cycles until the country's T-bills aren't worth a dime. Essentially, apparently that's the plan. But those very same people apparently are expected to sign off on a $5.1 trillion raise to this. Now, the House initially offered a $4 trillion raise, which is effectively, as I understood it, they were presenting to Trump, here's $1 trillion worth of funny money for your budget to play with over the next few years. For your priorities, we're gonna push that, and nobody will know that we have a deficit because the deficit will be hidden behind the fact that we will just offload it onto the debt ceiling. The scariest thing was the framework that was announced. John Thune and Mike Johnson both came out, and Thune says that includes a raise in the debt ceiling for the next 2 years. That means there are that 5.1 or that 4.2, depending on whatever number they come out to, which is apparently they're leaning towards the bigger one. That one is just for 2 years of spending. So it is very possible that Donald Trump could saddle the U.S. taxpayer with $10 trillion worth of debt, but he gets to do it under the radar because we'll never get to the point where they have to raise the debt ceiling or shut down the government, that kind of thing. There'll never be a discussion about it because it's too late. Even the Rand Pauls of the world won't be able to pull the ripcord on any of it, slow stuff down. Even if Republicans turn on him, they'll have no financial recourse. If you think of the Congress having the purse strings, this would effectively take them out of their hands and give them to Trump for the entirety of his presidency, / the next 2 years, which they seem to be, judging from their view of his health, they think that's how long it's going to last. That's why he's signing executive orders. That's why they're budgeting this thing and trying to shove it through as fast as possible, because they don't think he's going to be there. That's abundantly clear. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. And we're clear. We'll do that. We'll do that. And then we'll come back in just 1 minute for this one and for the final segment. And then we'll be out at the bottom of the hour. And then we'll have 5 minutes at the top of the hour to burn through. And that's how we'll plan it out. I feel like such a professional. I've learned so much, Johnny Million. So let me go.
And do you know any of the podcasts that you're going to be on today?
I do not, because I did not know I was even doing them until last night while I was doing the Rare Hair Jam. And they're just like from 10 till 6 p.m. We've got a bunch of them lined up, and they're already, and some of them are, I think I might be on Keith Roth's show for sure, but I think that might be just his show, not the thing, not a podcast, be on the Sirius show that they're doing from here. Yeah. Or pre-taping it for that later. So. And let's come back in 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The HalSparks radio program, Megaworldwide.
I feel like I have to torture Devin with that theme song every time when we're coming back in. I feel like if anything can make his skin crawl besides us being in the studio with him, it's playing that to him. He loves it. I know, we love him too, and but it's one of those like playful dynamics. You know what I mean? We toss around insults. He's obviously playing with us. Hack, crap, time wasters, whatever, the things he throws at us, we know he does it out of love. And it's just,
I like that he laughs at my jokes.
Yeah, well, at you telling them. So which is close. Yes? I can't tell if you're trying to figure out what I said or if you can hear me, you can't hear me all of a sudden.
Oh, I can hear you.
You're just trying to work it out? Ouch.
He's just laughing that I'm telling him, look at him, he's trying to tell a joke.
Right? There you go, yeah. So, let's be abundantly clear. Under the trust me bro regime of Donald Trump, the idea that they're not going to cut Social Security or affect benefits in any way, or that they're not going to cut Medicare or Medicaid, people will go, well, he said he isn't, and he's a man of his word. Sorry, I can't even say that without laughing. According to maggots everywhere, they just cut FEMA funding to North Carolina. So let me restate that. One of the things that Trump ran on was a lie that Biden didn't want to help people in North Carolina because they voted for Trump, because of this apocryphal FEMA story about staying off the lawn of people that had a lot of Trump merch because some of them are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Just leave the flyer in the mailbox and they'll get it. Just move on. But if you're going to knock doors and check on people, go to the next house, because these folks are, some of them will, if you walk onto you're a government worker, you're a revenuer, you walk onto their property, you could get shot. And they had genuine concerns about this because they'd received threats. And Trump himself was vilifying FEMA at the time. We've heard forever from Alex Jones and his ilk that FEMA is just a way to create concentration camps for conservatives and other people, or we're all gonna end up in FEMA coffins. Remember that? That after Katrina, they decided to move from body bags to these basically giant storage tub things for bodies, so that when people finally got the remains of their relative, if there's a chance they could bury them and have an open casket, it would be higher than if they were stacked on a pile of other bodies in bags and crushed under the weight of them. Just more dignified way of handling it. And the idea of doing this, Alex Jones turned that into they're planning on killing us all. And so they were a bit nervous about that. And Trump turned that into people of North Carolina, Donald Trump will save you from the evil Mr. Biden who won't even give you the resources you need to recover from a hurricane. And what does he do? He gets in office and then starts taking away funds, FEMA funds specifically, from North Carolina. Because I personally believe, that there is a Darwinist aspect, a eugenics crowd, a Hitlerian, master race, only people with good genes should be allowed to procreate attitude within this administration and the barnacles that are around it, like Elon Musk, that is a legit thought form to them. This is not something like some, college phase where somebody read a Ayn Rand book and then suddenly went, well, his struggle is my struggle. I just read the book, right? And then they phase out of it when they actually get a girlfriend or something. This is grown people set in their ways, right? And if you guys will recall, after the meeting with Elon Musk that Trump had, the very first time they actually hung out, which was when he flew with him to one of his events and showed up. It was a big deal that Elon Musk was going to be on stage with Trump. They flew on the same plane. And at that very same rally is the first time Trump started floating. I mean, he'd always believed it. He always kind of said it, but he started saying it openly on the campaign trail. Fast racehorses produce fast racehorses. And he started making this case about genes. And that he's always said he's smart and he's a genius because his uncle is a genius and he was at MIT, right? That whole story. Mm-hmm. But it was after he met with Elon Musk that he had a more acute feeling about this stuff. That he, really started like somebody dropped a sales pitch on his lap about this stuff. That Elon Musk, who absolutely believes this, who believes in intellectuals breeding and the sterilization of people they consider of lower quality, let's just say, of all ilks, by the way, of all different ilks. By the way, not it isn't just pure. You'll be happy to know that it's not just purely racist. Not only does he believe this for racial reasons, but he also believes that basically white trash got to go. And if you look at the context of that belief system and you step back from it in the sort of incendiary grotesqueness of it, you're seeing it play out. That's when you start cutting stuff from FEMA and Medicare and Medicaid and vaccinations and education programs that are meant for underprivileged and people, because again, by mass, it's way more white people than it is people of color are in schools that require massive federal funding in rural America. There's just more of them. There's, and you can't get rid of one without the other. And so the idea is all of them got to go. And for years, we've heard about this crazy elite depopulation scheme, these elites that go to these eyes wide shut parties and want to, bring the population down and sterilize everybody and blah, blah, blah. And they go to these, they go to these costume balls and they hang out with pedophiles and all that kind of stuff. And then Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's wingman, gets elected and brings with him Elon Musk, whose picture on X, on the site, is from when he went to a sex party wearing basically Dracula's armor. And he had a mask with him that he wore inside the thing. It was, and his mother was with him at one of these super rich costume parties, and therefore where are the Epstein files? Everything they seem to warn us about, everything that Alex Jones ever warned, everything that the people I got these guns for a tyrannical government, everything that I'm hard pressed to find one. They're gonna, choke off aid. They're gonna, poison us or let a disease kill us all. They're going to release a pathogen and let everybody die, which is the efficient way of doing it. Obviously, trying to get an injection in everyone's arm that allows you to kill them, it's expensive. You need a needle for each person, and you got to get them to show up and stuff. But just releasing the pathogen, doesn't that do the work for you? Then you give the shot to the people you want to live. And again, like they're going to chip our brains, right? And then literally Trump is hanging around with the brain chip guy. And when they go in, they warn us about the deep state. You recall, they warned us of the deep state. The deep state is a bunch of unelected, say it with me now, bureaucrats, who think they know better, than the voters, and we have a bureaucracy instead of a democracy. And what is DOGE? From Musk on down, I screw their names up all the time because, of who's in actual charge. But what is DOGE but unelected bureaucrats? They are exactly that. And they are trying to insert those DOGE members into different departments, the Treasury, Social Security, Department of the Interior, all the agriculture, and certainly the FBI and other places. They're trying to put their operatives in place so that even if Congress says do this against the will of the president, these operatives will stop it. That is the very definition of the deep state.
For real.
That's what that is. Beyond everything just being a projection, it now looks like it's just flat out the plan. So the question is how long it will take for maggots maybe to recognize that, and do they need our help? Because I think they do, ladies and gentlemen. I think a lot of people are talking like, what do Democrats do to push back on this thing? And while Trump is shameless, he is easily embarrassed. He doesn't like bad news stories. I think that's what put him in the hospital yesterday. I don't think he likes the bad headlines, especially from his rich friends. I think that's what did it. But on top of that, are we going to be moved by the hypocrisy? Are we surprised? No. Are maggots going to move? No. But any of the independents or people who bought into this stuff who are salvageable, the off-ramp they're going to have is, you're going to vote for the guy who wants to chip the brains of every American and 2 billion other humans, and that is created the deep state from scratch.
Yep.
Because that's what that is. Like, we don't have a deep state. We don't. We have hired people in the government because it's a giant organization that if we had to vote on everybody every time, it's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine a business, they always love to make that comparison. You imagine a business that had to vote on like their employees every year. Like we do the board meeting and then we vote on who gets to keep their job. Like, and everybody votes on it. Like, it'd be absurd. You never get anything done. It's just, but it isn't, their version of the deep state is different because it's meant to be the very deep state they warned against. And what they call the deep state is just people following the law and the Constitution.
Yes.
In spite of orders that they have. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HalSparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I have to pause.
Is that a euphemism? Hold on. All right. I don't have to pause. I'm fine. I can say hi to you guys. Hi. Hi, chat room. Thanks for being here. Sorry I'm doing if this screws with anybody's schedule. If some of our regulars are like, what the hell? I'll see if I can re-air the show at its proper time, just in case. Hi. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hit the like while you're at it, by the way. Share the show, if you will. No, we got their class. Oh, okay. Do you? It happens. Where you go? We got their classical today, so this is perfect. Excellent. I don't know why this is so huge. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's all right. Let's see. I'm gonna squeeze this down. Near you. What's up, Robin? What's going on? Sup? I want to see if. No. I wish it would just add it to the end of it. Sorry. There you go. Didn't mean to cut anybody off. Rita, good morning. It's great to see you too, Vanessa. It's nice to be seen. All right. Then I'll fade this down. Oh, it doesn't fade because it's on that thing. There it goes. So we'll be back up in like 3 minutes. So for those of you that are just joining us, I'm doing the show on very little sleep, but I'm also doing the show early today because we've got to give them a show. I didn't want to do a best of because there's so much to cover. I feel bad when I have to do a best of. So I'm doing the show early, and then CPT can play it when they need to at the proper time, and we'll try to keep the breaks pretty close to real.
Hello.
Where's the Johnny Millions? Where's the Johnny Millions? Here he is. Hello, Johnny Millions. Hello, Johnny Millions. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, mess with my schedule too. I mean, I've usually taken care of all that before you show up.
Oh dear. So let's see. There we go. Let's go to this one. I'm going to open this up, and then I have another story here that I want to do. Yeah. So one of the things. Let's see if they can. There we go. There are a bunch of businesses that are about to get, they're going to have to pass on tariffs to their customers. And some of them are putting Trump tariff on the bill so that you see, yeah. Because a bunch of them are saying, like, we're going to absorb it. But I don't know why you would. Honestly, there's just no, we could go 25 hours, exactly. So, yeah, I'll get to that story when we come back. And then, of course, where is it? Where's the Carrie Lake thing, which is really stupid. So, okay, yeah. All right. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah. So she's being moved around like deck chairs on the Titanic. Yeah. Carrie Lake.
She's a mess. That's the Arizona lady, right?
Yeah. Just wow. But again, okay, well, let's start back up. We'll come back now. Okay. So let me bring in what am I going to do for our back? Like, I'm in Tennessee.
Turn up the radio, let the sparks ignite. How sparks leading the charge day and night.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
I feel like, because I'm in Tennessee, I feel like that was necessary. You know what I mean? We can come back in.
And you're authorized.
I am. So, a couple of things. There's a trend I've noticed, Johnny Million. And by the way, Philip Bittner will be joining me on Wednesday for my live stream, but he won't be with us this morning because organizing this became a tooth pull at the last minute. So,
yeah, this happened overnight.
Yeah, kudos to Andrea for helping us patch holes in the dam, as it were, when we have to move stuff around. But there are a couple of trends I've noticed, and I wonder if you've noticed them too, Johnny Million, that if Donald Trump wants to destroy an agency, specifically destroy it, not just gut it, he puts a woman in charge.
I did not notice that, but that totally makes sense.
The two biggest ones, obviously, are Linda McMahon, who he's put in charge of the Department of Education and told her to like put herself out of a job, right? And Tulsi Gabbard, everybody around them want to dismantle the DNI office because it was made as part of the Patriot Act and all that kind of stuff after 9/11. And there's been a lot of like the uber rich money launderers in the country do not like coordination between like sketchy money transfers being talked about between the CIA and the FBI under the guise of terrorism. They want to repeal some of the laws in banking about like suspicious banking activity. It's why they drew so much attention to it with Biden before they tried to eliminate it effectively, because nobody ever, you ever noticed that like there were like 25 suspicious activities reports, like any giant deposit, anything over whatever $25,000 gets one, and then they go, oh, it's fine, and they move on. But the report is still there because it's part of the law, right? Nobody ever talks about how many Trump has actually done. There's tens of thousands of these sketchy payments. All of his payments are sketchy, that said. So the other thing is Voice of America. Voice of America has been a tool since the beginning of the Cold War, post-World War II, to try and promote democracy and rule of law and freedom, all the things maggots hate, all over the world. And so Trump decided to put Kari Lake in charge of dismantling it. I think Michael Steele said this. So to put Kari Lake in charge of that, to dismantle it, tells you everything you need to know about how silly and stupid these efforts are in the end, because there's nothing more than performative destruction of very viable programs and valid programs that help the United States. So it's got fans across the aisle, but but Putin doesn't like it. Iran doesn't like it. China doesn't like it. That's why it's going away. That's why it's to be dismantled. And democracy, I suppose, too, if they can help it. By the way, he's not going to be able to destroy democracy. I'll remind you. Everybody's worried about, will there be elections? Yada yada yada. The saving grace of all of this is the amount of absolute egomaniacs in the Republican Party who view themselves as the next Trump and think they have a shot. And those people have competing ideas about how the government should run. So without real elections, they will not even be able to primary each other. So they will keep it in pace. That's one of the reasons why they're bum rushing Project 2025 through, and why he's signing all these executive orders to get these things in place so they can basically gut everything and then remove it from the budget or undercut it in the budget, which they don't do, by the way. I'd like to remind you. Like ATF, they were going to get rid of ATF by putting it under the FBI, and they made Kash Patel the tacit head of the ATF. Never showed up for his job. He's been quietly removed. They're putting somebody who works there, who was a deputy head of the ATF, in charge of running it so it can continue its work, so that all these Iranian terrorists that we allegedly have running around the country don't have an easier time. ATF became ATFE, like alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. That they're one of their things is that they're one of the thank you, James. One of the things that you see from that the ATF post Oklahoma City, everybody started looking for explosives after Oklahoma City, and so the ATF pulled in a lot of those duties as well. If you don't have that agency functioning well, there's a lot of anti-tyranny rednecks out there who think they view the ATF like moonshiners used to call IRS agents revenuers, right? They have this paranoid hyper focus, like this person's going to come for me, and all I'm trying to do is run my still, and the tyrannical government's going to come down here, right? It's Ruby Ridge, Waco. Like, these are the people who yell that stuff, and they hate the ATF for it. But the problem is the ATF, after post-Oklahoma City, absorbed a lot of anti-terrorism stuff. And then post-9/11, that got codified even more. So everybody's out there bomb sniffing all the time. And I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you'll recall, remember December 25th, Christmas of 2020? Do you remember anything specific about that particular date that might have had to do with Nashville? When this guy, Quinn Anderson, James Quinn
Is
Anderson.
that the guy who just was picking people off at the outdoor concert?
Nope, that's Vegas. You're thinking Vegas. In Tennessee, it was dumber and weirder than that.
Depressing to like have to sort through all of the horrible domestic terrorism to figure out which one we might be referring to.
Yeah. Well, this guy was a relatively rando conspiracy theorist, and his father had worked for AT&T at one point. And so he parked his Winnebago in front of the AT&T building down here in downtown Nashville, and blew himself up inside this Winnebago playing Patsy Cline for hours. And
cool.
Yeah. And 8 people were injured. There was millions of dollars in property damage, and he died and was scattered all over the place. That guy was making bombs in his Winnebago for months ahead of time. And again, this was during the first Trump administration. They had already called off the ATF as best they could, tried to diminish through directives where they could look and what they could look for. And there's every sign pointing to the fact that they were like, oh, he's just a good old red-blooded American maggot with a healthy interest in explosives. And leave him alone, and maybe he'll work it out, or he'll blow himself up like a bunch of them do. And this guy,
you know what? I empathize more with people who think they're eventually going to be billionaires.
Right, the ones who don't want any taxes because they
don't tax billionaires because that'll be me someday once I get out of this.
I'm going to win the lottery, and they're going to take half my winnings. That's how they do it. The lottery has done more to dupe like anti-tax maggots into thinking that billionaires should get tax cuts than it has ever done for funding education. And as a matter of fact, you could argue that it's dual tracking. It's allegedly funding like elementary schools while defunding adult education by making an army of morons believe that their chance at the American dream from a scratcher is being taken away. Thank you so much, Karen, for the super chat. And I guess the James one is for you, Johnny, I think, if you could see that right there. That James super chats. Pile of poop with a face. It just says right there. Yeah. I'll forward that to him. Don't worry. Johnny will get that one, I promise. So, anyways, the Voice of America, they basically run it into the ground. They basically cut off a lot of the programming. And this seems to be part of their revenge tour against PBS and NPR. And there's 2 groups, just so you know. There's 2 groups in the maggot and Republican world that have been around for a long time that view any public works program that isn't, maybe even FEMA counts, but that isn't just building a dam or a highway, specific infrastructure, or the military, to be communism. NPR, PBS, television for the people, by the people, paid for by your tax dollars, that's communism. Yeah, they still are hanging on to that stuff. If you cornered John Kennedy in the Senate, or Chuck Grassley and those fellas, you get down there and you ask them if you could truth serum them, if you could get them to admit what they really think, they're going to tell you those kind of public works are communism. Not socialism, not a boondoggle, not padding not the fake news being padded by the Democrats to control the electorate or whatever. Just communism. It's that base and that stupid. And so they've been wanting to get rid of them for a long time, even before they were a thorn in their side. There was a period, if you'll recall, where if you listen to NPR, you'd hear as much support of some Republican tax propositions as you would hear, of Democrats. In the 80s and stuff, you listen to NPR, it was like the most balanced stuff you would hear about both parties' expression. You really did. It's where the fairness doctrine actually lived and breathed. Mm-hmm. And I would argue it still does to this day. The difference is that it wasn't that they
don't
changed.
Need to be regulated.
Well, wasn't that they changed. It's that the Republicans elected an adjudicated rapist who has odd ties to Russia and a lot of sketchy business practices that he's been engaged in for a long time. It's not NPR's fault when they report the news. If you talk about, like, Trump was like 90% of the news stories about him are negative. Well, yeah, that's because most news...
Because you're doing horrible things 90% of the time.
That's right. Yeah, there are no ways to write a positive spin on the E. Jean Carroll story, you cretin. So we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. There you go. That's us going to break, as far as you know. We'll take a minute. We'll do a minute. We'll come back at the 18 mark. I think that works.
I was just telling chat that there were ducks in the backyard today.
Oh my God! Did you kill them? Did you get them? Did you get them? Did you kill them? Are you gonna eat them later?
Smashed them. I went out and stepped on them, and they made hilarious sounds.
No, that's what that noise was. Oh yeah.
No, the cats were just blown away. They just like a mama and
somebody
duck.
Step on a duck, right?
Yeah.
Spalding. Because she just.
Then there's also the barking spider excuse. Oh, there's a barking spider in the house somewhere.
My family, we just say rats and look for them. So
it goes go looking for rats, and then
it goes like this.
When you bend over, it's like
rats.
Is that a rat?
Yeah. Anytime. What rats? There's rats in here. Rats. And then anytime somebody.
The ducks were fabulous. They were very big.
Oh yeah.
They were just kind of walking around the yard. We see them around the neighborhood. We don't know where their nest might be.
They're just adorable in spite of themselves.
Yeah.
With that little
mallard just looks so perfect.
Yep.
And white ring and everything.
Right. And if they were, in their original dinosaur form, they'd kill you. All right. Let's.
Oh my God! Pretty much anything would.
Yeah. Let's come back from this if we can. We'll.
If I were my original dinosaur form, I would kill you.
Oh, that's sweet. I'm glad people could hear that. Welcome back to the show. It's HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, with 100% more Johnny Million.
In my original dinosaur form.
That's right.
That's great psychology. Why don't you just say something bad about my mother?
Well,
okay.
Your mama is so ugly. Shut up, boy.
Your mama's so ugly she wouldn't accept my friend requests on Facebook.
You know where that quote comes from? You know where that
Which one?
That's great psychology. Why don't you just say something bad about my mother?
No, what's that from?
Well, I'll just tell you because we'll just work on it forever. It's Smokey and the Bandit. It's the original one. It's when little Enos Burdette, was saying, "I think he's chicken, dummy," or "Daddy," that part of it, and he's
And Jackie Gleason is like losing his mind.
I gotta barbecue your assy molasses.
Right. Yeah. One of the most horrifyingly racist characters that still maintains the comedy around it. Right?
Not easy.
No, it isn't. I mean, Christoph Waltz getting his forehead carved, I think, is one of the funniest, racist getting his comeuppance moments in film history, and still not the big laughs Gleason managed.
Yeah, I tried to I successfully showed Mrs. Million Blazing Saddles, and the number of times the N-word is bandied about, even ironically, is distressing.
Co-written by
Richard Pryor.
There you go. Right. And I love when people are like, especially maggots. Maggots tend to do this. You couldn't even make Blazing Saddles today because you free speech and you woke and blah blah blah. And you're like, dude, did you ever watch Chappelle's show? It was a basic cable series that said the exact same thing. Yeah. Like they bleeped out the swear words, but they left that word, and co-written by a Jewish guy and a black guy, just like Blazing Saddles. Like it's the same demographic writing it. It's amazing.
I remember seeing a meme one time saying today the you couldn't make Blazing Saddles, because if you handed that script in, somebody would say, yeah, no, they made this movie in 1970.
Right, yes, right, yeah. You couldn't remake Blazing Saddles, so I give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think Don Cheadle would kill it as the sheriff.
Doesn't Don Cheadle kill?
Yeah. I mean, he's hilarious. And so, all right, now here's my favorite story about the Trump attempt at an economic yo-yo where he and his rich friends will make money by cadavering the economy and then resuscitating it and bringing it. It's like you hear like was it Gilgo Beach? Those Gilgo Beach murders in the serial killer that was in Long Island for a long time. And one of the horrifying things you hear about him was that he would suffocate his victims, choke them until they passed out, and then he would let them come back, and then he would do it again. So it was very terrifying over and over again. Effectively, that's what Trump wants to do to the economy. That's what he wants to do. Choke it, resuscitate it, so he can just torture the market and make money on the down and on the up. Because that's how you do it. Again, never mind flat out insider trading. If you just are around him and know he's going to do something stupid, or he believes this is how you fix it, all you got to do is sit in on the meetings. And I guarantee what we're going to discover is they didn't go, hey, you should buy Apple right now because he's going to take away he's going to allow them to import stuff from China and get around.
No, people are just writing down notes going, this is never going to work.
Right. All it is the entire market up, the entire market down, the entire market up, the entire market down. And then they've got, they'll send a robot giving the thumbs up emoji, for buying tech stocks, and then a lemon or a banana or something like that, or whatever the code one is, right, for the eggplant for buying everything else, and a sell one. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, they're going to do a down arrow or an up arrow, and that's all they got to do. That's all these guys have to do. They don't have to. There's no coordination necessary. In the old days, you'd have to be specific about the tariffs. Or if you wanted to do insider trading around a defense contract, you had to do a lot of sneaking around because the details about the defense contract wasn't supposed to come out. You had to really tiptoe around this stuff. Now they can just go to the window and wave. And their buddy just hops in the car and he does it, right? Or they go to J.D. Vance's office and make a phone call from there. That's how this is going to be discovered one day. When they write the history books about this period of time, if we're still writing books at that point, what they're going to do is this is the era of insider trading via emoji, because that's how stupid this crowd is and how lame their plan is, how baseline. It's again, even if you look at how they treat Medicare, Medicaid, USAID, Social Security, they're not subtle about these things. No. They're not. They're running around. I mean, there's a reason why Elon Musk held up that chainsaw, and they think it's a good idea. Now, again, I would like to remind everyone, for our lovely, we need a businessman. Because you need to run the government like a business. Okay, no, the government's not a business. Business is supposed to make a profit for the people who invested in it, a limited number of those people, and maintain a static employee base that doesn't change much so that you have consistency of product over a period of time. But if you don't, you can fire those people and get rid of them. You cannot just start, firing the poor. You can't fire citizens. It doesn't work that way. The government is a service. At its best, it either gives you low cost for great services. That's what you should want. Because again, deficits aren't important. They really aren't. Because if you're in an emergency, if you want to use the kitchen table stuff, the kitchen table analogy that these folks always like to do. If your house blew off in a hurricane and you're like, look, our house payments are too much. We can't afford to repair the roof. So we're just going to have to leave the roof off, and we'll keep making the payments, and we're not going to borrow any more money because the roof flew off. You'll lose your entire house. The house will be, next time there's just a regular rainstorm, your house is gone. So the government takes on debt in those times of emergency and pays it off over time. And if you're, right now, our government has a debt of $36 trillion and a GDP of $26 trillion. And if your entire lifestyle, whatever you did, everything you had that you owned, free and clear, the house itself, if you paid it off in one fell swoop, and it was equal to a little over a year of all the money you take in, would you panic at the idea that you had too much debt? If your house, let's say somebody makes $125,000 a year, that's what they're making, that's everything, all in. And all your bills, your phone, the repairs on your house, all that kind of stuff, everything, it would be effectively $180,000. That's if you had to pay off your house and your car and everything, every bill you had, and it was $180,000. Would you be in a position of, oh dear God, we're doomed? Even if you had a high interest rate, you'd go, I think I can ride this out for a few years at this scale until the interest rates come down, and then I can refinance, and then we'll drive that down, and eventually we'll just add more towards principal on the house if we want to bring that down. But that's the ratio we're dealing with right now. We're not 300% of GDP. We're not anywhere near that. And that's why Trump and his ilk feel comfortable adding $5 trillion to the national debt. They do. Because they know they've been lying to everybody about the debt ratio. Also, the purpose of government is not to cut government spending or get it down to nothing. It's to, at best, get the best service for the lowest price at the most efficient level, right? That's what DOGE is. Not a new organization. It's actually a government, a digital services agency that's existed for a long time. But you'll recall, like Clinton and Gore had a let's make government run more efficient, balanced budget idea. It's one of the reasons why we had a surplus, because they did a lot of work back then. Obama had something similar. Nobody is against efficiency in these circumstances. But the purpose of it can't be just to cut the debt in spite of everything out of this panic about the country's going to go bankrupt because we have a trade deficit, which is just garbage anyways. Like, that's just insanity. Like, there's an argument about the validity of debt, how much debt is sustainable, how you finance that debt, at what cost and over what period of time, and whether or not you can sustain that for a period of time, and what you can do to achieve growth where you can pay off that debt sooner, perhaps by raising revenues. That's a whole conversation. But Donald Trump thinks that has something to do with our trade deficit with other countries. And it doesn't. And I honestly think his brain is so addled that he just hears deficit and deficit. He doesn't know the difference between the trade deficit and the budget deficit. That's it. Like, he doesn't, in these meetings where everybody's talking, he doesn't understand which deficit they're talking about. But he just knows that deficits are not good, so they have to come down, and just bring it down. Just make it go down. And if they don't like it, just the hell with them. We're going to make it come down. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HalSparks Radio program, Megaworldwide. I think the problem is the asylum issue with his brain. Like, he doesn't understand that asylum seekers didn't come from asylums. Like, his brain can't parse that out. And I want to know the oranges of that difficulty. We'll be back right after this. There you go. Rats. My dad says, oops, lost my pressure, which I think is kind of good. Yeah, whoop, lost my pressure. I'm gonna be low all day. Whoop, lost my pressure.
Oh boy, lost your pressure.
Yeah, everybody else in the family, everybody else goes, rats. There's rats in here. There's rats. You guys see any rats?
I think I have to remember barking spider. That just makes me laugh.
The barking spider. The problem is I envision this enormous spider. Like the spiders,
yeah.
Right? We'll come back at 9:32.
Okay.
As best we can. I need to put a little, like, seconds counter in my time thing. That's this. Mm-hmm. Hold on one second. this in here. Okay. So, the Trump tariff on everybody's receipts, I think, is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Because even companies that would have liked Trump otherwise are going to they're going to separate it out. They might not put Trump tariff, but they're going to put tariff on the stuff.
Sure, I would.
Yep. So that you don't think they're jacking the prices up, just so they can separate out. They go, we're not just raising our prices and then using the tariffs as cover because you don't know what 25% of our wholesale or 10% of our wholesale or 42% of our wholesale costs are.
Right.
And we're back, Johnny Million. That's how I'm going to do it. That's how I'm going to do it. Okay. Do you know a lot of businesses are talking about adding the Trump tariffs to their receipts so that when you buy something, the price won't just go up an abstract amount, 10%, 42%, 39%, 37%, whatever Trump has overlaid onto the country of origin of the stuff. They will specifically say, this is the tariff, and it's not going to just be in the mush of, oh, the prices all went up. And this helps twofold. One is that if you want to make people buy American, you can't have an objection to this because they will notice that there's not a tariff on that purchase. You get a receipt and there won't be a tariff thing on there. But when you get one and it's stuff that was bought overseas, there'll be a little tariff thing listed on there, and it will be separate from the local, state, federal tax, sales tax, security, whatever. I don't know. My favorite. What is it? Handling, when they would they would charge you for.
Oh yeah.
For handling, a handling fee, which just sounds like they went, ugh, like they've got some creep working at the factory who just picks up everything I buy and goes, and then puts it back on the conveyor belt. It's gross. Why am I paying that guy to fondle my stuff? So yeah.
Handled.
Yeah.
That'll be $9.99.
Yeah. The story that has come out is that a bunch of these companies are going to put this. Companies are slapping a Trump tariff surcharge on customers' bills in a bid to signal where the price hikes are coming from. A marketing gimmick that could help some niche brands cash in on politically charged moment, and if I don't know. Okay, so the idea in this article is that this is liberal companies that want to stick it to the maggots out there who are buying. So I'll show you. This is why you're paying more, you dumb okie, right? Right. That's what the storyline is.
Okie.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know why that struck me so.
What? You are an oak. Because I think you dumb okie is a line that Wyatt Earp says in Tombstone. I'm trying to. It's one of the westerns that he's done. Anyways, so. They say, we think transparency is the way to go here, and I'm giving Trump full credit for his decision to add the tariff to all U.S. customers. Ryan Babenzian said when he announced his plan for Jolie Skin Company, which makes filtered water shower heads, right? They're going to add the Trump tariff thing, and you're going to buy a Trump, you're going to get a Trump tax on that shower head, so they know where it comes from. Now, the way this is being talked about in the press is, and the way Democrats might even do this is kind of like Schadenfreude, like, see, well, we're all having to pay this and it's your fault and we're going to put the blame where it belongs on Trump, right? Which is fine. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a better strategy. And from a messaging standpoint, is that maggots should be proud to pay that Trump tariff. Yeah. You should be holding it up, point of pride, like, look, this is a Trump tariff. I'm doing a Trump tariff. I'm buying stuff that has a Trump tariff on it. And by paying this, I'm going to help bring down taxes for the Elon Musks of the world. You watch. I think Democrats have to dump this right in their lap, not just in the Schadenfreude way. And, there's been a lot of split messaging in the Democrats, and people feel like that's a sign of lack of unity. I think it's a attack on all fronts. level. Not everybody has to do the same fight at once. Otherwise, you can see it coming. And again, I think largely the activist crowd, or the slacktivist online crowd, I would say, when they're saying they're trying to tell Democrats how they should respond to what Trump is doing, largely it's a bunch of people in the Stanza Gladiator event, yelling at the gladiator as a tiger is charging, lion's charging toward. Punch it in the head and then kick it in the nuts. Really? That's your answer? That's what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to, with my human fist, punch it in its concrete-like skull and then work my way around behind it to get to its most vulnerable spot? I think I need a different strategy here, How about
sort of like when they tell you to hold an alligator's mouth closed.
Yeah.
Because it's
thanks, buddy. Yeah, right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right in there.
It was a terrible comedian who once had one bit that actually worked. Was they always tell you when a shark comes towards you that you can poke it in the eye with your fingers and it'll turn away. And if that doesn't work, after that you can hit it on the head with your stump. Right.
Good joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke. Jolie Skin Company will impose a Trump liberation tariff surcharge starting next week. His company is still calculating what the fee will be on top of the cost of a $150 showerhead. His team is building software in-house to add the fee to products purchased on its website, which runs on Shopify. There are a bunch of them that are already doing this. Now, some people who don't like it and are politically standing up against it are going to call it the Trump tariff. But a bunch of other folks are just going to call it just put tariff in there. Even companies that are allegedly on Trump's team, Home Depot, other places like that, are going to add tariff down there so that people don't feel like they are jacking up prices. And why would they have to do that? Because when prices go up for foreign goods, local sellers look at an opportunity, because if people are willing to pay 20% more for this thing, they'll be willing to pay 5% more for this. It's still 15% lower than the foreign good, so I can sell my stuff a little bit higher and benefit from the rising tariffs. I can raise my prices and make a little more money. I can gouge a little bit because it's still lower than that tariff. And what Trump is giving these companies the ability to do is raise prices on their customers and still look like they're getting a deal. And that's another tax on top of consumers. When they talk about how this could add $3,000 to $5,000 to everyone's, it'll cost every American $3,000 to $5,000 over the course of the year. It isn't just because of the tariffs. It's because other products rise with it. Because it's like when gas goes up and then they lower the price of gas and then the gas goes up. It goes up 50 cents, it goes down 25 cents. And then it goes up 50 cents and it goes down 25 cents. And you feel like, oh, gas has come down 25 cents. You kind of, in the time scale, have forgotten that it went up 50 cents in that period. Right. And so you're constantly paying more for gas over time. And you become acclimatized to that raise in prices. That happens with tariffs too.
Sure.
And everybody else goes, this is our opportunity. So I would say Democrats twofold. Here's what they need to do. They need to come out and go, Republicans and people who voted for Donald Trump, you should be proud to pay your Trump tariff, because your money is being taken from you and whatever you used it to purchase and being reprioritized. Your wealth is being redistributed to someone else. This is wealth redistribution. We're going to take money from one and give it to another, because that's the priorities of the president. So the federal government, the president of the United States, the man, is going to take your money that you are going to spend on stuff you need, your purchases specific to you, and say, see that thing you bought? I'm going to add a little cost to that. I'm going to take that money that you have to give me, and I'm going to take that money, I'm going to give it to somebody else because I like them better than I like you. Yeah. I like them to have money more than I like you to have money. I like them being able to spend your money better than you. I know better how your money should be spent. All those talking points we hear from Republicans all the time. It's a perfect time to re-gift those lovely statements back to those folks.
I like that, re-gifting.
Yeah, it's time to re-gift all the bureaucracy deep state talking points, because DOGE is the deep state and it's a heist. There's nothing transparent about it, like all that stuff. And the same thing with these. Tariffs are the redistribution of wealth. Yeah, it's your liberation fee, and you should be happy to pay it to your, the king has asked for all good sovereigns to give him their coins for the sake of the kingdom, and they should be happy to do it. And they should appreciate that the federal government wants to redistribute their wealth to others, farmers and other people, because that's who really needs it. You don't need it. That's who really needs it. And the other thing too is that they should shame in parallel anybody who raises their prices. If anyone thinks they're going to take advantage of these tariff rising prices and raise prices on goods because they just can, we are going to name and shame them, and this will be, gouging is illegal. We will do something about it, and we will, set what's left of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau on it, whatever, on those folks, because this is going to be mid-sized companies all through the Midwest, all through the South, that are going to be doing this the most. That 5% jackup I'm telling you about on a lot of these things, that's all going to happen in these mid-sized mom and pops and like regional store chains. The kind of guy that allegedly sexually assaulted Nancy Mace with his buddies, that the kind of companies they run, multi-county retail shops and real estate and that kind of stuff, those are the ones that are going to go, oh, well, if everything's going up 20, nobody's going to notice it going up 5. Yeah. Democrats need to step on that with one big wet foot as well. The tariffs are bad enough. You can't go gouging the consumer. Now, will that stop some of these people? Probably not. It will take an act of Congress. It will take Democrats getting back in power. But you got to put your flag in the ground. In all these situations, put your flag in the ground. Maggots need to be proud to pay this Trump tariff because they trust in Trump. Put that flag in the ground. Go, I think it's a mistake. I think it's dangerous. I think it's stupid. I think it's a waste of money. But if you guys think, you trust in him, then put up or shut up. I don't want to hear any whinging at all about prices. And if somebody writes Trump tariff on there and Glenn Beck or any of these folks on the right-wing media start going, how dare they? They're trying to shame the president with this Trump tariff. Then the question is not, or the response isn't, yeah, we are. The response is, why should anyone be ashamed? What's to be ashamed of? Yeah. Why do you think it's shameful? Because obviously... It's just like
the Nazi salute. If it's no big deal, do it.
Yeah.
Show me.
Right. Yeah, right. Show me what he did. Again, you do it right now on the air, right? That's to whatever, the guy Jeffries or whatever on CNN. Like, to any of the people who are defending Elon Musk's hand move, do it for us. Show us what he did.
Yeah. How cool it is.
Yeah. I personally think we should revive the Helldivers, borrow the Helldivers salute, as to get with the kids today. My son, it's basically taken from Starship Troopers. Like the game Helldivers is like a game version of Starship Troopers. It's very like jingoistic. We'll bring democracy to these bugs, like that kind of stuff. And everybody salutes like this.
Watch that movie again.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I have a total. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to tell you about
You tell me why I shouldn't watch Starship.
You can watch it. It's funny and sad, and it's charming. And then Paul Verhoeven, is one of the great directors of Schwarzenegger. Giving us phrases like "you should not drink and bake."
Oh yeah.
Right. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you about my evolving feeling about the anti-American slant of Hollywood that has been around for years. The hyper right-wing, sovereign citizen, I would say neocon thread that runs through Hollywood that nobody talks about. We've heard about liberal Hollywood. We've heard about woke Hollywood. I'm here to tell you what the real problem is. I'll tell you about it when we come back. And this is from an insider's point of view. We'll be back right after this. Okay. It's the HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Now with 100% more, Johnny Million.
Are you going to be talking about Mark Wahlberg's movie company?
No. I'm going to talk to you about all the movies, like what I would call Rebel Incorporated, that's become a thing, where there's a line in Miller's Crossing. You've seen Miller's Crossing, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Every frame could hang as a painting on a wall.
And John Turturro master class.
Oh, yeah. Well, and like John Polito, who plays the Italian mobster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the high hat. That guy, like, goddamn, so good. All right, let's come back at 48. We'll come back right at the 48 mark. But there's a line in it from the Dane, the heavy, his heavy. He goes, "Everybody is so goddamn smart," which is basically like everybody's hip now. Everybody knows the lingo. Everybody knows how to play gangster. All right, we'll come back in like right at the top of this, whenever it is, and
15 seconds.
We're coming back. It's almost here. Oh, sorry. That scared me. I don't know what that was. All right. Barking spider. Okay, we're back. Welcome back. It's HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Thank you for hanging out with us. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe on my live streaming channel, infotainmentwars.com will take you to the YouTube page where you can become a member, support the show long term, or patreon.com/HalSparks is another way to help the show long term, kind of get in there and sort of subscribe to that. Also have a Substack that you can subscribe to that and monthly as well, but mainly I leave it free, but if you want to donate there, if you're a big Substack fan and that's how you do it and you support Substack people, that's one of the ways you can support the show. Normally I will live stream the show there as well. We're growing that out, which is really fun. But that said, okay, so far from being a liberal, as many people allege, for a very long time, there has been and maybe this is the anti-American sentiment of certain stuff, and maybe part of it's laziness. So I've never been a fan, Johnny Million, of the write what you know concept, because if everybody subscribed to that, we would never have Battlestar Galactica. You know what I mean? We'd never have Star Wars or E.T. We'd never have Excalibur, because nobody was alive when most people fought horseback battles on, with swords.
I gotcha.
Right? And it's also why every cop movie has a wife that goes, how come you keep missing birthday parties? And why don't you're always at work, you're always working it, you've got to let it go, and you've got to, because no cop family does that. I'm here to tell you, I have law enforcement in my family. Nobody in the family gives my cousin crap because they're trying to catch a fugitive and he hasn't been home in a week and a half. Nobody. Because that person is a murderer and they're out doing terrible things. Nobody does that in the family. Nobody would even have that. That's madness. You know who does that? The wife or partner of a writer.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to stay in the house and write all day. You're never going to finish that. It's not going to amount to anything. You just stop. You're missing your life while it's happening. That's what writers hear all the time. Well, especially before they make it. So they've got script upon script upon script piled up next to them of storylines with ex-partners that have broken up with them because they choose to keep writing instead of going to a birthday or whatever. That's where that comes from. That's where write what you know goes totally off the rails. The other thing is that there's been this subtle thing, because in an attempt by the American government and by the American populace to be the magnanimous image of democracy in the world, we, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union, we became very averse. There was a short period after 9/11 where you saw some of it. There was a short period of making a particular country and its people the enemy. we have a real hard time with that. Now, part of it is Hollywood selling to the rest of the world. You know, again, this is the same Hollywood that, while trying, you know, to allegedly fight for human rights and gay marriage and all this stuff and forcing liberal values down people's throat, took the Taiwan patch off of Tom Cruise's jacket in an edit of Top Gun so that they could air it in the Chinese market. Which, by the way, kudos to the Top Gun Maverick movie. They said no, and it's back on, and it stayed. Right. But this is, it's it's sort of like a LeBron James's whole thing, where, like, you know, he'll talk crap about, like, police violence in the United States. He'll jump on that bandwagon, but at the same time, he will defend China to the very end because sneaker sales and NBA. And Hollywood has a tendency to do that. And one of the ways that Hollywood made up for no longer having a bad guy that they could use that was obvious, like the Russians or the Germans, was and the uncomfortable nature of the new villains not being white, namely the Chinese and Middle Eastern, right? Is that for a long time it was okay. You could have white villains in movies because people kind of shrugged it off. It was like every villain was British for a long time. You know, they were just some British murderer or whatever. Like, that was, you could just tell he was evil because he had a British accent, right? That's Brits did that all the time. But when it came to the spy movies post 91, it's all the phone call has always come from inside the house. Mission Impossible movies, almost all of them have to do with the leadership turning on the people, or them having to go rogue or underground or separate because someone is compromised inside the agency. It became a hack talking point, so much so that it fed into, there's an automatic audience for anti-government sentiment. You can't trust it. There's, they've got all your private information, and inside there are these moles that are doing terrible things and whatever. And that just became a hack premise. And I don't know if you remember the scenes in, I guess, Patriot games. Patriot games is a great example of not doing this. That when they were dealing with Patriot games, it was just a standard, bug hunt story. You've got a monster out there who's killed some people. He's got a vengeful view of this one guy and he wants to come after him. But everybody who's working on finding this guy in the office is a bunch of just like office workers. They might as well be characters in Office Space for the most part. They're just trying to solve this problem. How do you catch this guy before he kills somebody?
Right.
And it's really what it's like. There's no one, I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, there's no one in the kind of CIA headquarters sitting there going, finally our plan is coming to fruition. There just isn't. Most of the people there are like, they've got a very narrow band of what they have to look at. Their whole thing is, I'm Middle East, I'm watching ISIL in one particular area. I'm the section chief's deputy assistant, for intel on that, and I gather intel on this one thing. And I'm the night watchman for that part of camp. So if you imagine like a walled city, and there was like posts all around it, they all sit at that post. And if they ever fall asleep at their post, that would be the weak point. So that's how they view their job. But they're not like, if we coordinate all of this together, it becomes this big thing, right? So this week, Oliver Stone shows up at because of the JFK files. JFK files have been released. Cool. Insofar as I know, there's nothing left to release. All of it's out. None of it proves what Oliver Stone says it proved back then. A lot of it has notes and allusions about the possibility of stuff, but all studies have notes and allusions of possible other ways. Like every time they find a criminal, there were people they thought that it might be. They interview that person and then they let them go. Occasionally, they'll interview a person who actually did it, let that person go after the wrong person, and then come back to that person. That kind of stuff happens. But it's not a conspiracy. It's just human beings doing a job that's very difficult to do. And if you don't have, a guy running around going, I was the lone gunman, like I was on the grassy knoll, wearing a red flag on their hat, you have to follow evidence and procedure, and that's just, life is difficult, especially back then, as far as, doing this kind of thing. So Oliver Stone shows up after years of what's effectively like, don't trust the government and your fellow citizens are insane. Right? I mean, think of the body of work of this dude, and how do you come away from watching his movies with anything but America sucks? We Are the World never happened. America never played a part in ending apartheid. We're not the biggest donor around the world, both on a citizenry level and a governmental level until Trump came in, right? We're just evil. That's all we do. And it's all predicated on that because it's become entertainment. And there's a difference between seeing something warts and all and focusing so close on the warts you can't see anything else. And Oliver Stone's job with a lot of other people has been to like just basically wart displays. That's what he's been doing. And there's an audience for it. There's a prurient audience for it. It's scary. It can be pulse pounding at times. And it allows for you to take any of the gaps and spackle them with, there's an evil person out there. You just don't know who they are yet, right? Yeah. And you never get to the boring truth of the circumstance. And for you and I don't know that that'd be a problem. I think we can go watch a movie like that and come away with, yeah, there's some bad people in here, but overall, I think most people are good. Like, that's how we do that. But MAGA didn't. MAGA, one of the things that they can't let go of with Donald Trump and what made them believe that somehow they can trust him with the reins of government and Elon Musk as outsiders, their fixation on this outsider thing, is because when they watch that stuff, they think they're watching the news. They have bought hook, line, and sinker into this idea that the deep state is that you saw the bad guy in MI6 who's turned against Ethan and has forced his team to go underground, even though they're the only people who could save the planet from the evil virus, and or MI6 going after Bond, and he's now gone rogue and we can no longer trust him, or Above the Law, Steven Seagal, who now lives in Russia and works for Vladimir Putin. His first movie, Above the Law, was effectively a movie about how, which I agree, no one in this country should be above the law, but predicated on the idea that the CIA did all the things. If you watch the end monologue of Above the Law after this one cop story kind of thing plays out, at the end of it, he just basically runs through a list of all the things that allegedly the CIA has done, again, and they can't defend themselves, right? They can't say either way. They can't, right? So you get this free pass to just blather whatever. And again, you and I come away with that going, hey, if there's a bad person in there, we should get that person out. We should have oversight in the government. We should have reviews of this thing. There should be people who do this. And meanwhile, what do maggots do? There's a deep state cabal, and they're all, they drink baby milkshakes. That's how you get Trump. Lazy screenwriting. There, I said it, and I feel better for I said it.
Yep,
we're at the end of the show. We're at the end of the show, and I want to thank you, Johnny Million, for getting up early with me today. You're awesome, my brother. And I'm going to go run off and do a ridiculous number of podcasts. I hope my voice holds up.
You got to send me a list of all the ones you're on. So
I will. I'll text each one to you. So thanks so much. Thanks to everybody who joined us in the show today. Thanks to everybody who's watching later on. If you're like, hey, I would have super chatted and helped the show, you can do super thanks in the thing below the screen, or whatever is a way to help the show.
Thank you, Devin, for
for fixing this up, and we'll see you guys next time. The end. That's good. And we're out. Okay, well, thank you so much, Johnny, for doing this, and I appreciate everybody for jumping in here with us. I'm going to reset this and re-air this at the top of the next.
Nice.
Yeah. The good little pudding.
It's Foster.
Yeah.
Foster loves face mushes.
Yeah, Chip likes his face scratched. Like he'll go, ugh. And we have that brush that we do his back, and he puts his face up against it. He goes like, ugh, that. Yeah. It's super cute. Adorable. I can't wait to come to Chicago and pet them.
Oh, you got to meet these guys.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
They're going to love you.
Yeah, the weekend of May 3rd, mark it off. Telling you.
I think it's marked.
Excellent. All right, and thank you, chat room. I'm gonna let you guys go, and Johnny, I will let you go right now. So wave goodbye. Bye, Johnny. Twitch.tv/it's Johnny Million. Okay, and then I'll say goodbye to you guys, and then off we go, and then Johnny can go take care of see a man about a mule. Okay, but your goose. Okay, Owen, that's totally cool. Johnny and Hal are the goat. I appreciate the goat and the goose. That's us. All right. That's going to be the name of our detective series, The Goat and the Goose. And hold on. Now I'll do some outro music, and I'll let you guys go, and I will see you. Yeah. Wish me luck, everybody. Oh, it's loud. I'll bring it down a little bit. I'll see you guys on Monday. I should be back in time to do the show regular. My flight lands at 8:10. I made it with less time. The only issue is whether my bag arrives. That's always the part. So, wish me luck.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
What? Piece of malware called QSnatch.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Man, I'm tired of being right. What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
I had a beat off.
Who wants some? All right. Who wants some? Who's next?
Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Did you hear that? Yeah. It's a Dickford. What's a Dickford? To pee with.